reporting, which was wrong use of the asset in the wrong place at the wrong time, but they felt it was useful. So really, there was a couple of days wasted after the initial period.
Which is because of the different and the skill level, considering between me and the pilot, I think there's something like 26,000 hours. He's ex-military, not just from Guatemala, trained in the US military, etc. People don't realise what an asset a helicopter is. And obviously I love them. There is a time and a place for them. Searches of vast areas we could do in a matter of minutes. At the right time of day, at the right altitude. In the manual, there's pod charts, probability of detection. I don't really like them because people stick to them rigidly, but they kind of give you an indication of what altitude do we fly at. But because I'll call them the management, all these other agencies don't know this, and they're used to Farmer Tom and his helicopter flying around with a couple of firefighters in. They don't realise the technical skills and knowledge behind actually searching search patterns.
Yeah.
Because everything's done search-wise is pretty much statistically based, and we increase the statistic probability of finding you by following a certain search pattern at a certain distance. So it was kind of all that was lost, and we were kind of new in the country, not wanting to upset too many people. We did change that approach, which we'll cover later.
Yeah.
But we were managed incorrectly, which we did change.
I mean, it should be borne in mind that we're not talking about a barren mountainside. Whilst we are at 10 or 12,000 feet, there were probably dozens, if not hundreds, of canyons, deep canyons, steep-walled canyons, but the entire mountain, the canyons, were covered in jungle canopy. So you couldn't detect anybody unless you were right above them and there was a gap in the trees. So that whilst we were tasked incorrectly, it did allow us to eliminate certain areas and say, right, boss, this area's been searched. We can now focus our efforts on another area. It did allow us to do a good topographical appreciation, if you like. In the absence of any quality mapping or any useful mapping, we were able to video the area and create sketch plan maps, which were useful to us later on.
And we also did, we used a GoPro. We could allow the ground incident commander to say, look, there's no point sending people 20 miles around this way to this side, because look at the topography. There is no physical way on Earth she could have gone that way.
It's too steep.
Because she'd be at the bottom and we'd have seen her.
Yeah.
So you can, by communication, which was kind of absent, and then we started feeding things in, is concentrate on this side, look at this side, just to give that bird's eye appreciation.
So I think the use of the air asset allowed us to gain much more information in a condensed period to allow them to direct the operations in the subsequent 24, 36 hours. So during that period, we identified a few reference points which we didn't really feel were relevant at the time. I do remember there was one barren patch of land, one bare tract of land, probably 400 metres below the summit, which looked rather odd. It looked like a golf green, almost manicured grass. There was a big rock, and I remember you saying, what's that blue thing? Because nothing in nature looks blue. You've got oranges, reds, browns, greens, but it looked blue. We thought it was a tarp or a barrel or something. Looked around there, didn't mean anything at the time, but we took photographs of it, we recorded the footage. And it wasn't until that night we got home, absolutely shattered, sitting on the sofa, having a cup of tea. We received some more photographs from Australia, believe it or not, of the missing person's last known location. And you could see she was looking up the hill towards the summit, and just in the corner of the photograph there was a blue object. So we immediately compared that photograph with our video footage, correlated these reference points, and knew we'd found the spot. She's obviously got lost looking up the hill, and we knew exactly where it was. So in typical SOS style, we didn't go to sleep that night. We broke out the whiteboard, drew a sketch plan based on the video footage from GoPro, and then I sat down at 2 a.m. with Chris and went through the plan. Together we bounced a few ideas around, came up with a plan A, B, C and D. We'll go there, do reconnaissance, hopefully locate her at this reference point. Plan A will be to land. Plan B will be put in medics, search, SAR techs, doing a hover step. Plan C will be to rappel in. Yeah. Can't remember what plan B was. Maybe short plan D, short haul. Lots of different plans. And then we had, okay, let's get in. Let's provide first aid. Let's communicate the extraction plan. And then we'll come out using plan A, B, C or D. And that's what we did. We organised the team. We gave a debrief at 3 a.m. We prepared the kit at 4 a.m. We rehearsed all the scenarios, the communications. And then at 6 a.m. we checked the helicopter, deployed to the military base, presented our plan to the military and the incident commander. They didn't like it because the family had just arrived and they wanted us to meet and greet the family. But we knew the weather window was going to close in about 3 hours, so we literally had to turn and burn and go and search that area.
And plus, through that, and we did actually sleep during this period, just for those safety people out there. I can't remember when, but we did. This also is when we had that dynamic shift focus of anywhere else in the world, you call for the Coast Guard search and rescue. They turn up, independent unit, and do their own thing in accordance with their training, protocols, procedures. We weren't being used like that. So this is where, during that briefing, we said, this is now evidence-based. We're basing it on this, the lie of the land. She can go two ways. But if we put somebody here, you will see which is the easiest way to go.
Yep.
And we're a private service. Somebody is paying us, so almost we're going to do our plan irrespective of what they're told, because we know it was day 6 she was being missing.
Yeah, we need to provide them with a quality service, not sit around and be mistasked.
Yeah, and sent to the other side of the hill, all that kind of thing. This is what's happening. That's the day we took the doctor, because we knew we would find her. So we took enough gear to set up in a field hospital, because obviously there's no equipment down that way at all. So we took the doctor. I did allow you to take lots of things because I knew it was all coming out. We flew down. You were fired up on coffee. This is the plan. Go in, present the evidence, whilst we changed the aircraft to do the things. We overflew the site on the way in.
We overflew thick jungle canopy, gaps in the cloud, dozens of ravines that all looked the same. We picked the 2 ravines which we believed would lead up to the reference point, followed those up, handrailing the features, paralleling the features, which is where your 15,000 hours and eagle eyes came in, and there she is.
But this is where part of the planning procedure, and it's in the manual, is missing person behaviour. It's predominantly a UK thing, but they gather all the statistics. We used it in the Coast Guard. I think it's created by the mountain rescue guys. And it's statistics from every search and rescue case, all fed into a computer, and it gives you a probability. For example, it's something like 98% of people with Alzheimer's are found within 100 metres of the point they were last seen. So you don't need to put big search teams out, you just flood that area because statistically they're going to be found there.
Appropriate use of the resources.
Walkers tend to be found something like 17 kilometres because they're headstrong, they keep pushing forward, etc. But this is where you come into the point last known and the point last seen. Point last known is we knew she checked out of the hotel, so she could have gone anywhere.
Yep.
Which increases your search area. The point last seen, we didn't have that, but we had a blue reference point, so then we can plan accordingly. If you're a healthy, fit person, you walk, say, in that environment, you ain't walking 4 kilometres an hour, you're going to be pushing 2, because it's jungle without a machete, or even with a machete. So that kind of narrows a massive countryside down to a manageable area, which then you drew out on the board, and there's that amazing picture with you both your arms out, and you called me up and you went, Chris, come back here. She's either here or here. And it's like, what do you base this on? This is the evidence. Speed times distance, all those kind of things. She's either going to be in this ravine or this ravine, because here's the video and the photograph of it. And the only one we're going to know is when you're on the ground, which is the easiest one, where would I go? So that when we flew in and you did the brief, it was like, this is what we're doing today. If it doesn't work, okay, well, we can't fly in the afternoon due to cloud level anyway, but we did a different mindset based on the planning and preparation we'd done beforehand, which made the difference.
Yep.
And that included briefing the pilot. This is what we want you to do. We don't want you to fly like this. We want to do this. He changed the helicopter for the dark blue one because the tail rotor's better at high altitude. All those kind of things that go on in the background. So that day 6 was kind of... The first couple of days were fumbling around with misintelligence. But by the time the afternoon of day 5, we had lots of intelligence gathered, but we hadn't had a chance to sit down and analyse it. And I think I went out on the ambulance for the afternoon, and you sat there with a coffee, all the whiteboards,
and
you printed everything off, you read everything, stepped back, gave it like a team leader approach. I've got all this information, disregard, that's relevant. You drew a map and you pretty much plotted all of her last communications on WhatsApp to her boyfriend, and we had an intelligence and a statistic-driven plan, which ultimately we found her. Yeah, there's the eyesight and obviously detecting her, but we were exactly in the defined search area we should have been from day 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'll waffle.
No, it's all very, very relevant. It's taking the time to sit down without any distractions, analyse the information, work out what's probably, is she going to climb back up the mountain, is she going to climb down, is she going to stay put, what's her experience, even down to speaking to a boyfriend to find out her experience. What kit did she leave the hotel with, the hostel? Did she have a survival kit? Did she have a sleeping bag? Did she deploy with food? Did she take any food from the kitchen? That all helped us form a picture in our minds of her capability, her potential mindset. Where is she likely to go? Is she physically capable? What physical state will she be in if she deploy with 3 days of food or just a Snicker and a bottle of water? We're now into day 6.
Yeah.
So that enabled us to plan the medical resources too. We're factoring in equipment for hypoglycemia, dehydration, possibly sunburn, heat exhaustion, even hypothermia. The temperature changed at night. It rained heavy at night, lovely and sunny during the day. There's potential for musculoskeletal injuries, head injuries, spinal injuries if she's slipped into the canyon or fallen down a waterfall. So we planned our medical resources around that. We had oral glucose gel, we had IV fluids, we even had a SAM pelvic binder, very lightweight stretchers, enough kit to manage what we were likely to encounter without it becoming a burden for the rescues going in because of the terrain.
And another point is everybody were like, why are you flying again? She's dead. And this is where misunderstanding is. Back down to the rule of 3s. 3 seconds following a bad decision, 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 hours extremes of temperature, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food.
And you mentioned that the day, I think it was the military said, she's dead, why are you wasting the money on flying again? You said, look, 3 weeks without water, or 3 days without water. There's a stream running down every...
And she's in a rainforest where it rains every night.
She had ample access to water all over the place. So the only issue was going to be food, and we know 3 weeks without food.
Yeah.
So we had hope. We had hope that we'd still find her. We weren't sure of what state she'd be in, but we catered for it. We packed the right equipment. made the plan, briefed the plan, flew the plan.
I was stealing your chocolate when I saw it.
Yeah, you all steal my chocolate.